This might be the worst Supra in the world.
And that's because we got it for free after it was heavily abused by another group of YouTubers. We already took off the insane modifications they added, but the car still has a ton of issues.
So we're gonna fix it up. Now the first video we did with this, it drove. It doesn't drive anymore. I broke the bit. So let's get it in the shop and I'll show you all the stuff we need to fix. Well, don't worry, we're gonna fix that.
Surface says crashed it.
We were so close. I have it up on the lift for a good reason. You see, Will decided to go take this car out one point.
Oh, we decided that I could take it out.
But suddenly, while he was driving, the car decided it no longer wanted to do anything but sit still.
Basically, the clutch was staying fully disengaged, meaning that it would just shift into gears, but like you couldn't actually put the clutch in. And we were having problems with the clutch when we first picked this car up in Texas. We thought it was a bad clutch, but now based on the symptoms, I think it's a bad clutch slave cylinder or master cylinder potentially. And we want to try throwing the cheaper parts at it before we determine that it needs a new clutch, because clutches are expensive, but these little cylinders, like this little guy right here, they're not that expensive.
The reason that we think it might be this slave cylinder is what it's called is because what it does is it pushes in on a little fork. The fork pushes in on a pressure plate and that releases the clutch from the engine, which means that that's when you disengage the clutch and you can actually shift gears. So if this thing isn't working, if it's stuck engaged, you're stuck in clutch mode. If it's stuck disengaged, you never can shift the gears. So sometimes these fail and we're gonna replace it and see if that helps. But there's a plethora of things that it could be, and that's just the tipping point. We got a lot to fix out there. Whoa! My hand is oily now. Dripping. Good. Let me get a towel. That seems to operate pretty well. This one also operates pretty well. I don't know. I'm not totally convinced that this is our culprit. I kind of think it's something else. But we'll replace it anyway, we already got it out. Slave cylinder is in. However, I'm a little nervous that it didn't really do anything because they felt the same, but we won't know until we try to bleed this and see if the clutch works.
If our problem isn't the slave cylinder, then the next potential culprit could be the master cylinder. This is what's actually connected to the clutch pedal, so I'm gonna try and fix that next.
Oh yeah, finally. All right, so getting this on sucks bad because all the bolts are tiny and behind the pedal. I was struggling, Will's now giving it a shot. Look at the angle one has to be at to even try to make this work. One of the bolts isn't so bad. And it seems like the last owner decided to put just the one easy bolt in and totally disregard the other bolt. And I think slowly it has damaged the other one and made it not work right. Yeah, now we gotta bleed the clutch system because we've taken out the slave cylinder and the master cylinder, so there's absolutely no fluid that
Think
matters.
about the names of the cylinders.
I don't feel good about it, to be honest
Yeah, I'm
with
with
you.
you on that one. I don't know if
It feels a little outdated, perhaps. Yeah. We have some sad news to share. Slave cylinder installed, you saw that. Master cylinder was tricky to film because my head was in between the seat cushions and then Will's head was in between the thing and impossible to see what's going on. But the end of the story is that the master cylinder is in, the slave cylinder is in, and we still have the same problem. The car does not move. So, that means that we need to take the transmission off and see how the clutch looks, because more likely than not, the clutch is totally fried. We were hoping that wasn't the problem, but you know what? Once the new clutch is in, the car should be good to go, and we won't have to worry about the clutch like we would have if we hadn't replaced it and our original solution worked. So let's drain the fluid out of this transmission, figure out how to take it off, and see just how exploded the clutch actually is, because it's gotta be bad if it's not even moving the car whatsoever. Oh yeah.
this should be, that basically should be
Disengaged.
that should be disengaging the clutch. So
right?
The clutch is gone.
Slowly taking things off, like these grounds, sensors, the cylinder that we just put back on. Lots of stuff is coming out. And now Will is gonna take off the exhaust because we need to take the drive shaft out. Right there, connects the transmission. Once we got that, then we can move up top, disassemble the shifter.
You know what this is making me realize?
Yeah.
Working on a 911's chill, bro. You don't gotta deal with any of this.
Yeah, it doesn't all run to the back.
Hey, y'all can tell me if I'm bugging. Have you ever seen an exhaust hanger like that? It's like rubber bands. And there's literally 2 of them. There's one up there too. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Also, this exhaust is clearly not doing that good of a job.
Perfect. Well, what you couldn't see was the exhaust sort of melted itself. When I unbolted it, it just hinged at this rusty point and split in half. Sweet. I mean, we got to get it off. We're probably going to put a new exhaust on anyway, so.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Taking transmissions out blows, but it seems pretty necessary in this case. The reason it sucks so bad is there are a ton of small things attached to the transmission that you need to remove.
I don't want to take it out of that, because it doesn't seem to want to go out of that.
Well, we can't just leave it there.
No, we can zip tie it up. Start with that.
Alamo needs to take apart the shifter.
On top of that, you also have to deconstruct the interior in order to make sure the shifter doesn't rip through the floor of the car when we take it all out.
Oh my god. Don't breathe it. Don't breathe whatever that is.
The shifter is out.
Yeah, this thing sucks.
Yeah, and now we
I'm gonna
can...
get us a short shift kit.
But that's not even the worst part. Getting the bolts that hold the transmission to the engine is near impossible. And even once it's unbolted, getting it off is incredibly challenging. But with a little help, we can make it happen.
But just...
Push it my way.
Oh my god. Flywheel is coming off, ladies and gents. Shaft crankers. Observe.
Don't forget your dowel.
Why is there fiber on that?
It's clutch.
Oh my god.
I think our clutch. I think this might be
Oh
the
my
problem.
god!
I think this might have been the issue that
There's no material.
they just helped us so they get to see the fruits of their labor. Would you like to see why we had to take that off?
I was able to get a clutch pretty quickly. It's this beautiful upgraded clutch, which hopefully won't explode. Something I just hate about taking transmissions off. There's a funky little step with doing this. This is the new pressure plate. And there's an old thing, that weirdly goes on the pressure plate. I don't know what it is. I've only taken so many transmissions apart, but I've never seen this before. But it just kind of sits in the pressure plate. So I have to put this in the new one. Hopefully this is not bad, but it's going back in. Okay, we've actually replaced this thing because we had a spare one, so we took a little pause, but now we're gonna try to get this in. reason the thing wasn't going in is because we have a new bearing that the alignment tool actually sits on. So every time we were trying to put this alignment tool on with the clutch and pressure plate, it wasn't actually mating up and we couldn't get it on. There was no way to make it work until we put this in. So we got to put that in. I'm back underneath the Supra because we finally have the correct clutch. We were sent the wrong clutch the first time, even though it was advertised as the correct clutch. Hate when that happens. But now we have the correct one, so I'm gonna put the flywheel back on, torque it down to spec, and hope that this new clutch actually works. So let me get the flywheel on first. Gotta torque it to the correct spec for this one. Otherwise, you're in big trouble. All right, we're realizing that the problem here is it was difficult to get out and it's gonna be a lot harder to get in, mostly due to the exhaust. So we were gonna try this little table jack method behind us and lower the car and try to maneuver, but even that's gonna be difficult with the exhaust still on. So we're gonna try to get the exhaust off, and with that out of the way, we're hoping that it's better. But at least the new clutch is in. It seems to be the correct clutch. We won't know until we turn the car on and try to move it if it's actually right. I really hate taking transmissions on and off. It's not fun. But hopefully the car will be better afterward, and we have a lot of fun stuff to do to it after the clutch is all working in an operational order. The exhaust off creates quite a bit of room down here for activities. Hopefully we can get this on now. All right, we've stacked these hockey pucks because it needs to go at a slight angle as we do it. This is a little tricky. Well, as you just saw, that was terrible, and I needed at least 3 people to do it. That thing is really, really hard to align. The thing is usually they don't have that little extra piece on the end of the pressure plate, the one that I had to reinstall, and that's just makes it so much longer, so way harder to line up. But now that it's on, I gotta get all the bolts in, so we gotta quickly do that. I hope I never have to take that off again. That is really not fun.
With it finally back in place, I can slowly and painfully attach it back to the engine. I literally am just having to reach into the abyss and hand tighten the bolts down, and I'm also having to reattach all the things I originally took off. And then it's back to the inside of the car to put that entirely back together before we move on to the next vital step.
I'm inside the Supra right now, and it's about negative bad outside. It's so cold. Can you see my breath? It doesn't somehow, being this cold, stop the Supra from smelling terrible. This velour, red something, well, it smells bad. So, I'm gonna give it the old Luft. This is our air freshener brand. We work really hard on these. They're better than every other air freshener, which is a little bit biased, but it is the truth. So, here's how it works. You take this little mount, this metal mount, you throw it up on your sun visor, like so. Then, you take your Luft in this beautiful package that I worked really hard on. Please appreciate that. Crack it open. You pull out
this here thing. I have one hand because I'm filming. You rip it open to reveal this wooden block, which is infused with essential oils. This one's blended berry. It smells really good. It already smells better in here. And then you just throw it up on the mount. Easy as that. You can get them right now at loofsense.com. And if you like our videos, it's a great way to support us while also getting the world's best car air freshener. So go check it out. And let's get back to working on this thing. I'm trying to get out of the cold. It's freezing. So go get a lift right now or I'll find you.
Next step for the old Supra is brakes. These are pretty fine brakes. They're not nice by any means, but the car definitely has some old crappy brakes on it. We're gonna get these. Also, these are so bad. We're gonna do something about this shortly. These wheels that are certainly not correct for this car.
These are the FP7000s, man. What you talking about? Come on.
Not Continentals, bro. They ain't gonna do.
All right, Tyler Hoover put these dumb wheels on this thing. I like you, Tyler. You're a really good guy, and I know you were just trying to make it work. These are terrible, though.
But we're gonna take them off, and I don't think we'll put them back on. So. I tried to put my girlfriend's brakes for her car on the Supra. She has a Mazda. They're both Japanese, but they're not the same brakes. So I found the real brakes, luckily. Before we bleed the clutch and make sure that this transmission actually works, I'm gonna move on to the next pressing issue. That would be the quality of the bodywork. There is pretty much not a single body panel on this car that's actually in good condition. You can see the rear bumper's all messed up here. The hood even has these two little holes in it that I think Ed drilled into them. There's rust on this front fender. It's really bad. Pretty much every part of this car has an issue. Look at this door. It's got like little squiggly things in it. So we're gonna try to make that slightly better because we wanna make this car a lot nicer, and we can't really do anything to make it nicer if it's terrible looking on the outside. So I think we have a solution to doing that, but the first step in making it look nicer is gonna be making it look a lot worse by sanding all these bad spots down. It's not ideal, but that's the only way that I can kind of envision doing it. So I'm gonna do that.
All right, I know that doesn't look perfect, because it doesn't. I know what you're probably saying, Jackson, that looks like total you'd be right.
It does, but I think
Once I fill this with Bondo, and then I go about our next step after that,
we'll be in good shape.
I think it's gonna look a lot better, and you should trust me.
I just learned something very fun, and that is that the holes that are in the trunk, they obviously leak. Who would have thought? They leak right into this plastic tray. So when I took it off, it poured water everywhere. I was able to dodge it. I wish you were able to see it. It was pretty entertaining. But now I'm gonna take the wing off to try to at least fix those leaky holes. I'm gonna sand them down first, I think, and then we'll see what happens. Man, there's some gross stuff down here. All right, I think the camera might have died, but you can see it looks horrible. It's gonna be a whole lot worse before it gets better, like I said. So I've sanded it all down. Well, I grinded it, then sanded it, and now we're gonna need to Bondo it. Before I get to any Bondoing, because the rear bumper could use some Bondoing too, I am gonna get to the hood, which also has 2 holes in it. It's crazy that every single panel has a hole in it. That went bad. The reason I wasn't recording is because it started to dry so fast. That's some old Bondo that I had around. It started to dry fast, so I wanted to run. I got it all over my hands, and it didn't really work. I probably made things worse. I got it kind of everywhere. It did fill the holes in here, which is great. That'll be fine, I assume. However, back here, not so much. And I realized that the holes probably aren't even gonna matter because I'm gonna wrap over them. So not only could I not fill them here, but I'm gonna wrap them so there's literally no point in filling them. They're gonna be watertight anyway. This though was important. That one there had kind of a divot in it, so I filled that in. So we're good there. Bondo is really hard to work with, especially when you're not good at it like I am. And inexperienced. It takes a long time to be really good at it. And also, it makes you feel like your brain is melting every time you smell it. I already don't got that many brain cells. I'm gonna get some fresh air real quick, and then we can move on to the next thing that we have to do. I feel a little delusional. Do I seem delusional? Don't even answer that, actually. It's fine. We're filling the transmission. It's got this weird little like Go-Gurt bag that Will is squeezing, and we're trying to get it all in because the fill hole is in the worst possible spot. We're back to trying to bleed the clutch on this. Now that the transmission is in, we obviously never solved the problem where our clutch master cylinder was not sucking in liquid. So we've borrowed this here pump, and we're gonna use pressurized air to hopefully make that work. Keyword is hopefully.
All right, this is allegedly sucking all the air out of our system. So it's gonna suck from the slave cylinder, pull pressure, and hopefully pull all the liquid from the master cylinder, which is up there, through to the slave cylinder, get all the air out in the process. That's the theory. We'll have to see if it works. You can see the liquid is coming through the pipe. Look at that. But there's still a lot of air, and you can see the level slowly going down up here, so I'm just refilling. Will's watching for the air to stop, and then we should be good.
The Supra is mostly prepped and hopefully working, and that's what we're about to find out. We have it hooked up to this here jump pack. I'm gonna turn it on. Either this is gonna turn on and nothing's gonna happen and I'm gonna cry and this series is screwed, or, and my favorite alternative, it works and it moves. Because before, as you might remember, the car didn't even move. So if this thing moves back and forth, we fix the transmission and it's ready for modification. But it has to move first, otherwise.
Yeah, otherwise, you know, it's not ready for nothing.
It's gonna leak, by the way.
The new exhaust coming, don't worry. That exhaust sounds bad. Drive it. Turn it on.
It works!
It does work. Ignore that.
Oh my God.
That's cool though. It's like, I hate leaving it off like this, but it now runs and drives and it's ready for mods.
Yeah, that means it has still a ton of work to do. We gotta modify it, we gotta make it all look pretty, and we gotta make it faster. But it actually functions now, and I think it deserves that next step. So subscribe, and if you like this video, watch one of these two ones. It's gonna pop up on screen magically. It's really cool. And thank you, Shaft Crankers, for watching.